Continuing here, I ended up where why Bill Clinton is the biggest traitor in American history, and it was this allowing this Glass-Steagall Act to expire. That was really a low blow, and it's hard for me to accept that he's really that stupid or incompetent. And so, what's left is to believe he's evil. You see how I struggle with not separating myself from the heart of God and just being a loving person and saying, I can't judge Bill Clinton. I can't judge Dick Cheney. I can't judge George Bush. I can't judge George Soros. I can't judge any of these people I think are so evil and wicked and deceitful because I don't know that to be the case. They might really believe what they believe. Okay? If they really don't believe what they spew, then what they espouse, then they are deceivers, and they are definitely tools of Satan. And where their souls go from here, God only knows. So, but that's not my business. I'm not their owner. I didn't create them. And so, just like everybody else, I have to let it go and make peace and have, to have some peace of mind. And that's where I want to be. I want to be where it's simple. I want to be in that place where it's all just really nuts and bolts, logic, reason, and purity, pure, right? The pure, clean water. I want to be there in my mind at least, as much as I can, as much time, and I want to go deeper and deeper into it, and kind of that's where I want to grow into that area. But again, I don't do it alone. You don't do it alone. None of us do it alone. We do this thing together by enlightening people as best we can. What God lays on our heart. We're all individuals. We'll all reach everybody in an individual way. But, if you're ready to lay all your cards on the table like I am and just say, let's do this thing. Let's have universal prosperity that has nothing to do with money at all. Okay? It's your sense of freedom, your sense of security, your sense of contentment and peace and joy. Okay? To do whatever you want any given time you want because it's your life, nobody else's. No human being gave you life. God gave you life. So freedom must be understood comes from Him. He's not the one that's charging us a cost of living. This euphemism for this, this pernicious tax that's imposed on us from birth that we've all been just trained to accept. But again, I digress. I'm going to finish these increments of evil in the land. Increments of evil in the land. Maybe that's what I should name the video. But series of videos. But the increments of evil in the land. So we've got the JFK assassination, huge. We lost 99% of the hope in this, for financial stability in this country then. Gold standard, opening trade with China, Glass-Steagall Act, the bailout of '08. That was a big step in this incremental ladder to oppression, really. It doesn't matter if you're not oppressed because you got a clean, clear spot in the bloodied waters. You think that everything's cool and groovy and that your advice is just be like me and just get it out of your social Darwinism. I bought it. You got to buy it. Just accept that nut just gets harder and harder to crack. Work harder and harder and harder. And, everything's going to be all right. You'll succeed, right? Whatever. Succeed. Make a lot of money and we're all going to just have our little wipers going. So there's no weak links in the chain that are going to fall through. And what do we do about that? And who decides? And what are the qualifiers and all the excruciating minutia of that? That's why I don't get involved in that. I just no. You've got to come out of the muddied, bloodied waters that have been muddied and bloodied deliberately, and come to God's way of thinking. But that certainly don't go to the way of the world thinking. That's that social Darwinian economics and all that. That's what they've sold us. That we've accepted. The nut, that's what's progress is. The nut just gets harder and harder to crack as your cost of living goes up and your currency is debased accordingly, like a scale. Okay? Those things you can't get away from. They're not luxury items. We're talking about food, housing, water, and energy needs. That's somehow okay, and that's going to be progress. That's just the new reality that you're going to have to accept that we call progress, but it's the opposite. So, anyhow, what was the next increment after that? The bailout of '08, that was huge. That was, like one of the last hope I kind of felt was this market correction. If we had any semblance of true capitalism working in America at that time, then we would have seen the pipes burst the way they did, but actually seen it. They burst and spewed out money into the pockets of the criminals and thieves that wanted that bailout. And we're talking about the high-ranking politicians that validated this, legitimized this theft of the wealth of our nation for God knows how many generations to come. Too big to fail, too big to jail. 90+% of the American people were against that bailout. And then they call it a democracy. They call it a republic. Or I guess we're just stupid. So we just all have gone along with all these steps, all the increments. That, oh, well, just get used to it, get over it. Just, now work within the new bounds that they've handed us. They've moved the Overton window way the hell over here. And you just, behind the curve. You got to come, get up to snuff here, buddy. That's what they would tell me, right? I mean, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from Alex Jones. I don't want to hear it from anybody, okay? Because I know what's going on. I've lived a long time, and I've listened to a lot of wise people over the years, and I know my stuff in regards to economic principle and what's supposed to happen in defining progress across the board, socially, politically, and economically speaking, okay? That's going to bring a state of prosperity, not for some, but for everybody. That's going to set the captives free in that. I know what I'm talking about. And it has a lot to do with believing in equality, equal rights. And a right is an entitlement. Make no bones about it. They're synonyms. As synonymous as any two words could ever be. So let's be honest, come out of confusion and, carry your fair share way to the cross. And if people call you a liberal, tough. If they call you a conservative, tough. Because what I'm talking about is very conservative. Would it be conservative to get rid of Section 8 housing? The $50 billion going into this gas tank with a gaping hole in it? Would that be fiscally? Well, call me fiscally conservative. Am I mean? No. So am I not liberal? No, actually, I'm very liberal. I want to set the captives free. I'm ready to lay all my cards on the table. Are you? I'm willing to have a level playing field. Are you? I'm willing to have true capitalism. Are you? And true capitalism, we have to understand, creates progress across the board. It creates a rising tide of prosperity across the board. Okay? That's a matter of fact. Nobody can argue the things that I teach and tell because I know my stuff. I know what I'm talking about in regard to economic principles and how to define progress, identify progress from regress. It's as simple as that. It's nuts and bolts logic. It's mathematics stuff I can prove to anybody. To a child, the child can understand the whys and wherefores, why you're supposed to see progress in that regard. Because we find easier and easier ways to create all the things we need and want. That's it. It's in a nutshell. That's by we the people. That's what a civilized society does. Okay, and it shares those benefits. It doesn't, you don't have groups of people, special interest groups hoarding those benefits. But anyhow, I digress again. So what else have we had since the bailout of '08? We had the, nothing much. I mean, mass murders and stuff. So Satan's pissed off because he can see the writing on the wall now. That good is coming and nothing's going to stop it. And so he's going to get psychopathic, kamikaze, suicidal, and death wish kind of mode here for a while. Well, he pouts about the biblical level cosmic sea changes that are coming to the earth. He's going to be filled with this rage like a snot-nosed, spoiled brat, murderous child that needs to be made to heal, which is what's coming. Okay, folks, I think that's enough pontificating. Please forgive me. But I do love everybody, and I do wish the best for everybody. And I mean that. That's about as good as I got to give. I just want to be a puppy dog among men, really. And I'd like to be a nice guy all the time, and that's what I'm striving to be, is to be like God, because I believe that God is a nice guy all the time. And that's the highest calling, is just to be his friend. And if we're his friend, we'll emulate him as best as we can, reflect him properly, and represent him properly as best as we can, and urge people to go in that direction, because that's the direction of freedom.
For people like us that don't know.
Current events here. Oh, Trump's tax plan. Right, he's going to raise the deficit 1.4 trillion over 10 years. And the mainstream media is like, look what he's doing. He's raising the debt. Look, all you people that are anti-debt, you thought you were conservatives voting for Trump and all this crap. And they're, radio silence about Obama, okay, raising the debt over $1 trillion per year of his reign of terror, creating greatly increasing the wealth income disparity in America, greatly increasing poverty in America, and yet he's the socialist choice. Let me get that right. I mean, you understand the departure from reality here? I mean, it's palpable. And so this is obvious. The mainstream media is totally complicit in this machine of death, this establishment beast system that's just destroying lives. Okay, and they're literally murderers. I mean, these dubious wars that are started, the crime and the homicides related to it, the drugs and drug overdoses, people trying to escape, suicides, broken homes, abortions, prostitution, pedophilia, all this stuff goes hand in hand with the national debt, with debasing our currency, by raising our cost of living and keeping us indebted, enslaved to these people forever. And they don't do anything for us, and yet tell us this is the way it ought to be. So, Trump's going to raise it over 10 years is what the figures are, which I believe by the time, before he's out of office, I believe America will be out of debt. And if that's the case, look forward to the return of Jesus, because I mean, this is powerful stuff, man. I mean, if God's really going to say, this is it, man, I'm putting my foot down, I'm going to protect Trump, I'm going to protect his family, I'm going to protect the righteous people that hunger and thirst for righteousness to be the rule of the day in the land, that are willing to lay all their cards on the table, have a level playing field. And if God's will is universal prosperity, and the system won't break down, then let's bring it on. Let's give it a try. So that's what we need to look forward to. And if that's traumatic for some people, I'm sorry. But remember, I'm not a guy that's going to take anything from anybody. I just want to add to it, especially the freedom part, just your sense of being free and not, beholden to the money masters of misery. Okay. That's what I'm talking about here. So anyhow, point made. Warren Buffett was on CBS Sunday Morning. Seems like a real nice guy, but giving all those billions to Bill Gates, I mean, what an idiot would do that? I mean, why would he buy a bunch of housing somewhere and said, we're going to end homelessness in Detroit or in Los Angeles? Do something really good and profound and charitable and altruistic and really compassionate. Okay, no, he didn't do. He gives it to Bill Gates, the eugenicist, who wants to come up with a vaccine that he can force on us. And in California, the guinea pig state, we're leading the way on this mandated vaccine and for children. I mean, this is draconian. This is fascist. It's immoral. It's unconstitutional. It's un-American. It's wrong. It's unholy. It's ungodly. And yet this crap's going on. So Warren Buffett, I mean, man, as sweet as you are and as altruistic as you sound, man, what the hell are you thinking? What the hell are you thinking? What do you? I don't get it. I just don't get people like that. Gives them these tens of billions of dollars to Bill Gates, and Bill Gates is a eugenicist. Knowing that, I mean, he knows that. He's not a stupid man. How could Warren Buffett be a stupid man and make these billions and billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars? I mean, nobody's going to be able to claim stupidity before God, okay? But man, I started to like the guy. I was smiling and stuff and thinking, oh, what a sweet guy. Sounds so nice, and he's getting older and rethinking his values, and this is what motivated him to be so generous and benevolent and all this crap. It's like, what? I understand how people get sucked into the ways of this world. It's very alluring, very, very attractive.